Breaking overnight, anger and frustration boiling over at town halls across America. Officials on both sides of the aisle drawing large crowds and harsh critique from constituents. Republicans continue to be blasted by voters demanding answers about President Trump and Elon Musk's gutting of federal jobs and programs and agencies. Now Democrats are feeling the heat as well for their inability to push back hard against the DOJ purge, though it was a different issue that took center stage last night. Pro-Palestinian protesters took over Illinois Democrat Dan Castan's town hall in the wake of Israel's strikes shattering the fragile ceasefire with Hamas. Castan faced a barrage of vocal, borderline physical attacks, so much so, police stepped in and asked the congressman to end the event.
What you're saying is I'm not going to get my way when my people are being slaughtered, and I want you to stop funding them.
If you would like to run for office, run for office.
That is the stupidest thing I've ever heard. You are the most soulless piece of crap I've ever seen.
That's your opinion.
Soulless. Soulless.
Sir, get off the get off the stage right now.
And in Wyoming, Republican Harriet Hageman was showered with boos after seeming to downplay the sweeping cuts to federal jobs at the hands of Elon Musk and DOJ.
Here's the only thing that DOJ has done, which is it's so bizarre to me how obsessed you are with federal government. But here's the thing. You guys are going to have a heart attack if you don't calm down. I'm sorry. You're
having heart attacks.
It's just really over the top. What DOJ is doing is it's the closest thing to it is the closest thing to zero-based budgeting that we've seen. Why would you be opposed? Why would you be opposed to us looking on a line-by-line basis whenever you
from an immigrant from South Africa who wasn't elected? He wasn't elected!
Wow. CNN's Arlette Saenz is with me now. Arlette, this is a trend that we saw first really targeted at Republicans. It is growing now both to Republicans and Democrats, but over and over and over again, these town halls are getting really heated because constituents are fed up. Are officials, do you think, going to stop these town halls? I know the Republicans were told by their leadership to stop doing them, but that some of them are doing it anyway.
Yes, Sarah, and town halls have really been a staple in American politics, especially in the first year of a new administration. But decisions about whether to continue holding these kinds of events are likely to fall on a case-by-case basis. Democratic Congressman Sean Casten at that town hall last night said that he doesn't want to stop holding town halls, but did say that some people may decide not to attend if they feel like they are not productive. As you mentioned, the head of the House Republican campaign arm advised Republican lawmakers to hold virtual instead of in person. You have some lawmakers like Mike Flood in Nebraska and Harriet Hageman in Wyoming who have bucked that advice. Hageman herself is holding multiple town halls over a few days in Wyoming, where they're really hearing a lot of frustration directed their way about the way that President Trump has handled his first few months in office and those DOJ cuts being made to the federal government as well. But it's not just Republicans who are feeling the heat from constituents. We have seen Democratic lawmakers like Casten and others really hear a lot of the frustration that constituents are feeling at this moment. Now, one thing that a lot of Democratic lawmakers had wanted to do over this recess was hold town halls to talk about the cuts that Trump and his team are trying to make, talk about potential cuts to Medicaid that could be coming.
Today officially marks 2 months in office for President Trump, and new polls are revealing just how voters are feeling about the start of his second term. CNN's chief data analyst Harry Enten is here to run the numbers for us. All right, how is Trump doing compared to where he was just after he was sworn in January?
Yeah,
very different numbers, I'm assuming.
Yeah, they're very different. They're very different. I mean, look, here's the bottom line.
Wow.
Trump's net job approval rating. Look, in January 2025, he was on the positive side of the ledger. He was at +7 points. Look now. He has come back down. He is underwater, right? He's doing a little bit of the breaststroke, maybe doing a little bit of the butterfly. He's at -2 points. And it's not just in one poll. It's multiple. CNN, Fox, Ipsos, NBC, and Quinnipiac University. 999, the American folks are saying, oy vey, ay caramba.
Okay, well, that was a lot of different languages. Thank you, Yiddish and all. How unusual is it for a president at this point to have a net negative? Let's go back in the annals of history.
I love going to history books. I did quite well on my SAT 2 in U.S. history. Presidents with negative net approval ratings at this point of term since 1937, going back to the second term of Franklin Delano Roosevelt. Well, there are two men on the screen, and they're the same two men, Trump in 2017 and Trump in 2025. He only matches himself. I guess the good news is he's doing a little bit better than he was 8 years ago at this point. But when you're only matching yourself and you're the only dude who's underwater at this point, not particularly good. Every single other president at this point in a term, either first or second, was above water. So Donald Trump likes to make history, but this is a type of history Donald Trump does not like to make.
How is he doing when it comes to the issues? Because that seems to be the big thing for 2025, which is a little different than 2017.
Yeah. So, look, here are the issues. Sometimes I like lists. You know, I like lists. I like lists for writing out my groceries. Basically, it's a two-line list. It's like cream soda and popcorn. But on this particular one, Trump's net approval rating on major issues, positive. Immigration. How about negative? The economy, federal budget, foreign policy, health care, tariffs. Underwater on all of these issues, and that is what is dragging Donald Trump down. People came in with good expectations for Trump, better than for the first term. Yes, he's doing slightly better than he was during the first term at this point, but compared to everybody else, he's doing far worse. And the reason he's doing far worse is Donald Trump is not meeting the voters' expectations on the issues that matter to them, especially, of course, there you go.
This is the reason why a lot of people say they voted for him and why he's in office right now. So that's a big deal.
The whole kit and caboodle, and he is failing them in the voters' minds.
And so you don't have to go shopping for cream soda.
Perfect.
You are welcome.
Thank you.
Harry Enton, it is always a pleasure. Now go drink your cream soda.
I will.
John?
Wow.
Reporting. So, Norm, let's go back to what we heard from Pam Bondi there. You have the Attorney General singling out one federal judge. Have you seen this before? Aren't they supposed to be on the same team?
Pam Bondi's comments, Anna, were of a piece with what we've seen in the first 2 months of the Trump administration, an assault on the Constitution. She is saying that Article 3 of the Constitution, which gives federal judges the power to do exactly what Jeb Boasberg is doing, to oversee whether laws like the Alien Enemies Act are being followed.
She's at the top of the Justice Department.
She's tearing up the Constitution. And that is why it's another example of the hundreds of cases I've been involved in bringing or helping on, a couple dozen of them, the hundreds of cases, over 100 cases that have gone to judges. And you know what? Democratic appointed judges, about over 80% of the time have ruled against Trump. Yes, it's unconstitutional. It's illegal. Republican appointed judges also over 80% of the time, and she's exemplifying it. That's the bad news. The good news is they're losing in court, and I think Judge Boasberg, who I've known for 3 decades since he was a young prosecutor, I was a young defense lawyer in D.C. Superior Court, Judge Boasberg is going to impose consequences, and he should.
You talk about the Constitution being your guiding light here. We're talking about the foundations of this very country and the democratic system at stake here. Bigger picture, when you take a look at how this President Trump, is essentially trying to override so much of the division of power within the government, trying to take power from the other two branches. You have the DOJ that's supposed to be independent, not really operating that way right now. There's been little appetite in Congress. It's led by Republicans to fight back against this. So could Trump's efforts to expand his executive authority work? Could we end up with an imperial presidency?
The genius of the founders of our country and the framers of the Constitution was that they put in multiple checks and balances. Yes, Congress is in the hands of the MAGA Republican caucus, the Republican constitutionalists of Trump's first term are no longer in control. But you have Article 3, the judiciary, that is acting as a guardrail on in these cases, over 80% win rate. I know at my organization, State Democracy Defenders Fund alone, we've gotten court orders saying Trump can't target 6,000 FBI agents who worked on January 6th, that he can't, he wrongly fired over 20,000 federal government employees. They're being reinstated by the courts. Just this week, we got a court order saying Elon Musk and Doge operated unconstitutionally when they tore down, as he put it, put USAID through the wood chipper, a very important government agency. So Article 3 is pushing back. That's one guardrail. But you know what? They're starting to wake up the political class. We've seen a lot of energy from leaders around the country. And the public is waking up with these demonstrations all over the country. So I don't think, I hope, and I don't think Donald Trump is going to achieve his objective of an imperial presidency because of this pushback, but we'll see.
We'll see. He's going after judges. He's going after law firms, we've seen. He's going after individual lawyers, including you. I don't know if you saw this, but here's what he said during his controversial Justice Department remarks last week.
There's a guy named Norm Eisen. I don't even know what he looks like. His name is Norm Eisen.
Again, Donald is making major mistakes. He's taking his side of the spectrum for granted, and it's biting him in the behind. Because one thing you could say about Trump in his first term is that he kept his own side more or less happy. Deservedly, no. But he did, right? He kept them mostly happy. We talked about this yesterday, how Trump's approval rating in his first term wasn't that great. It was quite low throughout the whole thing for relative to other presidents, right? Relative to, say, Barack Obama or even George W. Bush until the very end. Bush was much more popular than him as the most recent non-Trump Republican president, all of that, right? But the reality is, though, he was always popular on the economy. And now he's blowing that because he's pissing off his own base. And one of the other things Trump had was loyalty from Republicans. But now he's attacking Republican judges. But what's really interesting is that because he's been so insane in the last few years, most Republican judges at one point or another have ruled against him. And it's not because the judges are part of the deep state. And it's not because the judges are a part of, secret liberals. Or that they don't believe in MAGA-ism in some cases, because some of them do. It's that they actually have to do their jobs, and Trump brings legal cases to their bench that they can't in good conscience defend, right? It's like if he's bringing purely ideological disagreements, right? And it's not about a gross violation of the Constitution, right? They will likely rule with him. Because they are conservative judges and they share the same worldview. We've seen it. But then when he brings cases that basically confirms himself as a dictatorial emperor, then even most conservative judges up and down the system have ruled against him. And you see it at the town halls. The people, the places that made him president, the people in those communities hate his guts right now. And it's not going to change until he changes, and he's never going to change.